So now in this video, we're going to look at the 555 timer wired in monostable mode. You could also call it one shot right there. And the reason why is because we press the button there once, the output goes high once. And the net is now in the stable state. That's why it's monostable. It's stable right now. It's not stable in that state right there, the output. So the timing though is set by a resistor and a capacitor. They are right there. Right now I'm using a 1 kilo ohm resistor, and so here is the formula. Pretty simple. You take the resistance in ohms times the capacitance in farads. So we got 1000 ohms. 1000 microfarad is the same as 1/1000th of a farad. So 1/1000th times 1000 is 1. And then you multiply that by 1.1, you expect about 1.1 seconds right there. Now we can pluck that and quickly change the time by swapping the resistor. So now when I hit the button, the output's going to be high for about 11 seconds. Math is right there. Pretty straightforward. We got 10 times the resistance, and we're going to look at this later. That means it takes 10 times as long for the capacitor to charge to a particular voltage. So we're going to pluck this. I didn't show the math for this, but this was a 1000 microfarad capacitor. As I said, it is electrolytic. It's polarized. You got to put it in the right direction. Here is a 100 microfarad capacitor. So 1/10 of the capacitance. So its voltage is going to rise 10 times as fast, and so the timing now is going to be 1/10 of the time it took a 1 kilo ohm resistor, since we're 1000 microfarad capacitor, because we're using the 10 kilo ohm resistor again. So we are back to the 1.1 second. So you can adjust one or either of the values to get your time, and the formula is that easy. So to continue, what we're going to do is break apart this circuit. So I'm going to turn the power supply off. I have it set to 5 volts right there. 5.1 because we lose a little bit of voltage through the rails when we get to the breadboard. So power's turned off now, and we're going to pluck everything but these jumpers for now, so that we can get a look at what is going on. And we'll zoom in there. So we have to power the 555 timer. So pin number 8 to the positive rail, pin number 1 to the negative rail. So that is taken care of. Pin 7 and pin 6. Pin 6 is going to look at the voltage. That is the threshold pin. Let's go look at the names really quick. Right there. There is the names. So pin 6 is the threshold pin. Pin 7 is the discharge pin. We got that there. They're both used for, pin 6 is used for looking at the voltage until it gets to 2/3 of the power supply voltage, and then pin 7 allows it to discharge. We're going to look at that in more detail later. So let's do the 1 kilo ohm resistor again and connect that to pin 7. You can see that right there. That's how we're going to charge the capacitor. And the capacitor, we're going to go with the 1000 microfarad again. And so this ground symbol, that's our 0 volt reference point, which is the negative rail there. So wherever you see that, that's the negative rail. Wherever you see that, that is the positive rail, because I have it set to 5 volts. But in case, we're going to go here. There's a little jumper connecting these two pins. It's not insulated. It's just a little metal piece right there. I think you can see that. And there it is. So plug in this into one or the other rail, doesn't matter. They are both electrically connected, but I'm going to go down to pin 6 right there to keep the clutter down a little bit. And then this is polarized. That has to be more negative. We're going to plug that in there. So now it's a little harder to see what's going on, but we saw it before we wired it up. Now, pin number 4, that is to the positive rail. That's the reset pin. We don't want it to do anything. Just like the trigger pin, it's waiting for a low signal. So what we're going to do, we're going to put it to the positive rail. I accidentally wrote 5 there when I made the diagram. It's actually pin 4. And putting it to the positive rail, that tells it to not do anything. So it's positive rail. We don't have to worry about stray signals or anything falsely triggering it. So now we have it powered, and so that provides power for the output and also the 1/3 and 2/3 voltage that this looks for. So pin number 2 is waiting for 1/3 or less of the power supply voltage. And so we got the push button here. So right now it's not connected to anything. And we could leave it like this, but it's better to take a fairly high value resistor. We're going to use a 10 kilo ohm resistor to pull up the voltage. So when the power is on, you can see here we got the 10 kilo ohm resistor. That will allow the voltage to reach the pin. We have a connection there as long as this is open. Once we close this, you can see here we'll have a direct connection to the negative rail. And so pin 2 will not even see this resistor. It will have a direct connection to the negative rail. Any current getting through the resistor will just get sucked right to the negative rail, and it won't raise the voltage there. So we press the button, we get a low signal to pin number 2, and that tells the capacitor to discharge. And so really we are done wiring up the 555 timer for monostable mode. We just need a load. So we could either go to the negative rail or the positive rail. If we want it to light up well, right after we push the button I should say, then we want to go to the negative rail, because when I press the button, that's when it will go high. So long lead the anode, and it doesn't matter the order, and long lead the anode we will put to the output there. Short lead the cathode will go down, so you can see cathode goes to the negative rail, but we're going to put the resistor in between the cathode and the negative rail. So I'm going to use a 1 kilo ohm resistor. This is higher than we need. We could easily go to 220 ohms and the LED would be brighter. It would actually look a lot better, but I wrote 1 kilo ohm on the sheet, so we're going to stick with that. So now the power is off. I'm going to turn the power to the rail on, and we should be good to go right now. So power is on. I press the button, and there we go. We got about 1.1 seconds probably that the output was high. So now we don't have to go to the negative rail with the load. We can go to the positive rail, and so plug that LED there. So now the short lead, the cathodes, going to the output, long lead the anodes going up one row, and we can take the 1 kilo ohm resistor now, and it's gonna be brighter because this actually doesn't output 5 volts, probably about 3.3 volts, but it does go to the negative rail. So we got a resistor to the positive rail to the anode of the LED, and then cathode goes to the output, which is going to ground. And so right now the LED is lit. We hit the button there, and now you can see the output goes high for about 1.1 seconds. The other side of the LED is high, so it turns off. So you could wire it that way, and also I don't have two, I can do this. I'll pluck that one and put that one over there. We could also take a green LED and put, now we have the short lead, the cathode there. We can put the long lead, the anode of that LED there, short lead the cathode there, and take a 1 kilo ohm resistor and then go to the negative rail. So we got 2 LEDs. So that one's off until we press the button. There we go. And so now this one's going to be on for about 11 seconds. That one's going to be off for about 11 seconds. And then it's going to go back to its stable mode. Remember, it's monostable mode. It's stabled in one condition. So right now the output's low. That's why that LED's lit up. We got positive going to negative. And then when we hit the button, now the output is high. So it's going through that LED to the negative rail right there to our low signal. And so next we will look at what the voltage that is going on with the capacitor there. So now I got my pocket oscilloscope here. We got the cable. Other end of the cable we have these 2 alligator clips. So the voltages we see will be in relationship to the negative rail, or 0 volt reference point. And so if I go to the negative rail, now you can see the static that the red jumper was picking up has disappeared. If we go to the positive rail, now you can see we go up 5 squares right there. And we're going to look at the normal condition of the circuit before I hit the button. And to speed things up, I'm going to go back to the 1 kilo ohm resistor with the 1000 microfarad capacitor. So there you can see when I go to the negative rail, the output is low. We're actually connected to the negative rail through the 555 timer until I hit the button. Now you see the voltage went up to about 3.3 volts for about 1.1 second. I'll do it again. And so each one of these squares is 1 second. I can pause this, and so it looks like it might be just about 1 second. Let's see if I can stop it. So it actually looks pretty close to 1, but it's approximately 1.1. Looks like it's a little bit longer. So in any case, also these are not exact value components, so if their voltage is off slightly, then the timing will be off slightly. But in any case, there you can see the output doesn't go all the way to the positive rail, but it does go all the way to the negative rail right there. So we can see that normally the output's low. Normally pin number 2 has a high signal, and we did a little false triggering by plugging that in there, I think. But in any case, now you can see we have a high signal right there to pin 2 until I press it. So it doesn't matter how long I press it, as long as I release it before the LED flips back, then the timing is going to be the same. Doesn't matter how long I press it, as long as it's not longer than the time that we have set. So now we're going to go to the more interesting thing. So we're going to look at the capacitor. And so we'll close this in, and because this is less noticeable. So we can either go here, as I said before, or we can go to there's a jumper here connecting these 2 rows. So I got the capacitor to pin 6, the resistor to pin 7. We can go anywhere along there. So in any case, there we have it. Now I'll hit the button, and you can see the capacitor charging, and it's charging to 2/3 of the power supply voltage. That is the main takeaway. And so you can see it charges to that point, and then once it hits that point, the output goes back to where it was. So it discharges instantly. Once it reaches the 2/3 of the power supply voltage, the output goes low. So does the discharge pin. We have a discharge pin, the one that goes to the resistor, that goes directly to the negative rail when the capacitor is not charging. That's why it's discharged. Negative rail, negative rail. Whatever gets through the resistor from the positive rail goes directly to the negative rail until we hit the button, and then it charges up, and it takes about 1.1 seconds approximately right there. So I showed that with my pocket oscilloscope here. Let us look at the diagram. So normally there is a high signal because of the pull-up resistor, and the output is low, as we can see there, and the capacitor cannot discharge because the discharge pin is connected to ground. So we got negative to negative on each side. As soon as we press the button right here, and you can see the output goes high. That's why the green LED lit up briefly, and the capacitor started charging. As we saw, that's when it curved right there. And then we let go of the button at some point, and the capacitor gets to 2/3 of the power supply voltage. Then the discharge pin discharges the capacitor and sets the output back low again. That is the process right there with the monostable mode. So in any case, that's really it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.